the idea is to gather, map, and discuss some good or eventually bad practices in large research organizations across Europe in giving the equal opportunities to women. So, okay. So I have here in the panel 5 distinguished panelists, and I'm very happy to present them and to have them with us today. They are representing important research organizations. They are representing diversity of different opinions, approaches, experiences, and I hope that we will be all able to learn from those diverse experiences. So may I start to introduce them, and then I will make 2 personal remarks and 1 institutional remark before giving them the floor. But before, I would like to introduce Rita Tolvanen on my right from VTT. Then we have Geneviève Guinon from CERN, and we have the Karel Luyben, who is the president of the Conference of European Schools for Advanced Engineering, Education and Research, CESAR, and rector of Delft University of Technology. Welcome. And on my left, I have Ines Anitua, CEO of Automotive Intelligence Center from Spain, and Alexander Kurz, Senior Vice President, Human Resources, Legal Affairs and IP Management, Fraunhofer Institute from Germany. So then, as I promised, quite a diversity and quite an important set of research institutions across Europe. So before, and I see that we started sort of 15 minutes late, and as I organized many meetings, the time management is quite important issue. So then I would like to manage and to not to delay the end of our session more than 5 minutes, that we are a little bit recuperating 10 minutes. So then I will then invite my colleagues to speak roughly 10 minutes, and then also to allow a little bit of interaction, even though I'm aware that interaction in this kind of big setting is more difficult, and you will have tomorrow an interactive session, but nevertheless, I think it will be good to have at least few interactions. Before doing so, allow me 2 personal remarks and promised institutional remark. What are those personal remarks? They are stemming from first, from my professional experience, because I'm involved in research as a researcher, but also in managing research, but also as somebody who has done quite a lot of work in the field of understanding creativity and innovation processes and systems. There is one buzzword which is underpinning creativity and innovation and research. That should be a principal approach we have, and that's diversity. This is what I learned a long time ago. That is what we have been able to prove through different experiments, research work, but also through the mapping of different scientific studies across the globe. And one of the most important elements of diversity is gender diversity. So then I think that my first personal remark is stemming from many years of experience, and is saying that if we really want to have a genuinely creative and innovative organization, we have to ensure diversity. It's a cultural diversity, it's a diversity of different topics and subjects which we have, but it's also diversity of able and also disabled people. But it's first of all gender diversity, because this is the most obvious one and this is the easiest one. So then if you are not doing this and if you are not taking measures, so then we are not serious about our creativity and innovation of our respective organization. So this first remark is leading me to my second remark, because I said that I spent most of my professional time in creativity and innovation from different perspectives. I spent most of my voluntary work, which is sort of unpaid work, working with the poorest of the poor. I've been working since many years with extremely socially excluded communities in my own country. And we have all in most of, or in all European countries, we have all and perfect legislation about equal opportunities, about the social inclusion. But what I learned from this kind of very hands-on fieldwork is that it's good to have a legislation, it's good to have all these nice papers, but what is the most important is equity. And I learned that equity approach is more important, or it's equally important as equality. Or we may say it in other words, if we want to have equality, we need to have equity. So it means that we need to have measures, we need to have a mitigate, we need to understand what are the barriers of certain groups in reaching and achieving equality. And only if we understand those measures or those gaps, those barriers, and then we take active steps in mitigating those barriers, then we are able to reach the equality. Because otherwise it is staying very often only as a theoretical concept, and it's staying in our papers. So then this is my second remark. So then if I sum them up, if we want to have a really innovative and creative organizations, and it applies not only to research organizations, not only to academia, it applies to all organizations. We need to have a diversity, and the most obvious is a gender diversity. And if we want to achieve this, we need to apply the principle of equity. We need to understand what are the barriers, and these are general, but also organization specific. We need to understand, identify, and tackle those barriers. So these are two personal messages. What is the institutional message? First of all, I would like to say that the Joint Research Center, which is in-house scientific body of the European Commission, we actually do research and we do research for policy making. We are supporting 20 policy areas by the research. So we are quite a large research organization. We have 3,000 people, and we are integral part of the European Commission. We are very, very honored to be approached by the organizers of this Gender Summit, and we are very happy to sponsor this summit. And we also agreed with the organizers that probably the best way, apart from offering the space and offering some food and drinks and some logistical support, will be also organizing this kind of panel where we will gather a few organizations, scientific organizations, and we will map what is the situation. Because it is also important from our own perspective. If I, and this is part of this organizational setting, if I'm about to reveal all truths about the Joint Research Center, overall probably we should not be very happy, because our overall picture, overall figures are not the most fantastic from the point of gender balance. But there is also a good message that we are working hard and we are having the progress. Because just revealing from the history, Joint Research Center started as a nuclear research institute. And in the nuclear field, you know that there are not that many graduates, female, and these are mostly male-dominated area. So it's a sort of heritage from the past that we have our gender balance slightly distorted. But since 2005, Joint Research Center has the action plans to improve the situation, and situation is improving. If we have, in a permanent post of the Joint Research Center, we have right now 24% of women. If I look at the middle management, we started with 13% in 2005, when the first action plan was launched, and in 2010 we jumped from 13 to 16%, and in 2014 we have 19% of middle managers. And in the senior management we started from 0 in 2005, and we reached 10% in 2010, and currently we have 17% of senior managers female. So I think it is a positive trend, but there is a lot of work to be done. The most recent advancement is this charter. We adopted the Charter of Senior Management of the Joint Research Center for Equal Opportunities and Working Culture. So then you will see the signature of all senior managers signing up to this charter and trying to fulfill it. We have also a smaller measure, and we have our women role models, and we are distributing this kind of good examples of colleagues who are making effort, and we are trying to understand with them what are those barriers which are not helping them to progress in this respect. But obviously we are very open to learn, and this panel is one of those steps where we would like to learn also from other organizations, and probably that can lead into more sustainable partnership and a learning platform to learn what are the good practices, what are the best practices, and how we can exchange them and how we can learn from each other. So then, if you allow me, I would go and give the floor to individual members of the panel, and for giving them the space to share with all of us how they see it, what they have done, how they see the perspective also in the future, and whether we should eventually at the end of this panel launch the platform for good practice where we would put all human resource managers of the research organizations and create a sort of soft and light good practice exchange platform. So then